about this consequence. It is that committing sins is an obstacle for answering dua. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Allahumma ghfir li ad-dhunub allati tahbis ad-dua. We have it in Dua Kumail. Oh my God, please forgive the sins that I have committed that imprison supplication or imprison dua. And it is very clear, because when someone commits sin, indeed he is cutting his relation with his Lord. So naturally his dua and his supplication would not be answered. Also His Eminence Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Al-ma'asiyatu tamna'u al-ijabah. Sin, committing sin, is an obstacle for answering your dua, for fulfilling dua. And one of the sins that we have in riwayat, which is an obstacle for answering dua, is invective, or using expletive terms, or insulting other people. These things are, of course, among all the other sins that we have, this is one of the things that I saw today, among the things that have been said, and it has a bad effect on answering our dua. I will continue telling about a few more consequences of the sin after you recite the salawat, please. Another consequence that I pose here is something that humans in the current world are thirsty for it, and that is calmness. Of course, humans thirst for calmness, but they don't have it. Tranquility, calmness, inner peace, and such things, which are things that are being lost by committing sins. You know, we have our scholars in explaining this reality say that we have a morally conscious mind. We have a nafs al-lawwamah in our soul. We have been created in a way that there is a nafs al-lawwamah, and it works, it becomes active whenever that we do an evil, and whenever we do a wrong action, it becomes active, and it started to censure and to criticize us and continues criticizing. Of course, it is very good, because if we didn't have this power, we would be very bold in doing a lot of bad things, and that would end to a very bad fate. Anyway, we have nafs al-lawwamah, morally conscious mind, and this works. And when we do bad things, it continues criticizing us, and these criticizers causes us to lose our inner peace. It causes us to lose our tranquility and calmness. And you know that these days humans are lacking these, because although they have a lot of facilitation, when we compare them according to what we have heard from the people of the previous times, we know that there is not a calmness and tranquility. Anxiety or suicide are some of the greatest problems that modern people are being suffered. Imam Ali alayhi salam, let me bring it with an hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam again. He says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَعْدِلْ نَفْسَهُ عَنِ الشَّهَوَاتِ خَاضَ فِي الْحَسَرَاتِ فَسَبَحَ فِيهَا. Whoever who does not avoid committing sins will fall in the sea of regrets, and will swim in that sin. And also His Eminence says, وَكَمْ مِنْ شَهْوَةِ السَّاعَةٍ قَدْ أَوْرَثَتْ حُزْنًا طَوِيلًا. It says there are many temporary desires and lusts that bring about a long regret. A regret that happens in our mind and in our soul, that takes our tranquility, our calmness, and of course it will have a lot of bad effects on the other parts of our lives. And the last consequence, that I think we don't have time to talk about the others, I think it is very interesting and it's very amazing, because we know some of the activities that have bad effects on our lifetime, we can say. According to some hadith, we have that certain actions cause shortage in our lifetime, and this is something that we could never know without a guide from the Ahlul Bayt. Because it is very clear, when we see someone who is smoking, we know that this has bad effect on his lifetime, and it reduces his lifetime, it shortens his lifetime. But we don't really understand the relation between, for example, some actions like having good behavior to our parents and having a longer lifetime. Or, for example, we have in some hadith that some certain activities like cutting the relation between you and your close relatives, qat' rahim, or swearing in lie, or lying itself, or annoying parents are among the sins that shortens our lifetime. And on the other side, we have that when you pay charity, of course the charity which is paid in private, not in public, it has very direct effect on improving one's lifetime. Or being kind towards parents, this improves one's lifetime. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, أعوذ بالله من الذنوب التي تعجل الفناء. I refuge in God from the sins that shortens lifetime. Anyway, I had in mind to talk about some other consequences of the sins, but I think there are a lot and we don't have time to talk about them. I just tell you the headlines of those things. One of them is brings forth affliction, problems, and a lot of other things. And the last one that I had written here was about it hardens, it makes our heart very hard. And when our heart becomes hard, we will lose the power to cry in the middle of night and ask forgiveness from God. And when we lose this great opportunity that every man should have in his life, we will lose the opportunity to gain a lot of perfection that can never be achieved without these activities. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, ما جفت الدموع إلا لقسوة القلوب وما قست القلوب إلا لكثرة الذنوب. I think it's clear. The eyes become dry for nothing other than committing sins. And when when does hearts become hard? It is only because of committing sin, and it ends to the dryness of the eyes. Okay, please recite the salawat and inshallah I will. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. In order to bring my discussion to an end, I just want to mention to a very important point, a very ideological point, and that has a very important ethical lesson. That is, we should not think that every affliction, every problem, every misfortune is because of the sin. Because at least we have two other reasons for afflictions and for problems that happen for pious people, for believers. One of which is testing people. People who are very pious, like prophets, have always had a lot of affliction and a lot of problems. And the other one is to give them a higher ranking in their spiritual levels. When someone suffers from a problem or from an affliction, and he remains patient and thankful, he keeps patience and remains thankful in that situation, this action itself, this affliction itself, would be a reason for him to achieve some higher level of spirituality. I said this because of a very important ethical point. This means that when we see someone, when we see a friend, any person who is suffering from a problem, We never have right to make a judgment and say, okay, he has done something bad, or he must have done something bad, and this is because of the bad thing that he has done. We have no right in making such a judgment. In ethics, this is called shematat, and it is absolutely prohibited because we don't have any knowledge about the reason that this affliction is, why this affliction is being happened for this person. In many cases, we see that someone who is very pious, like a prophet, who has never done any sin, he has never committed any sin, is being suffered much more than many unbelievers. So, I just wanted to mention this point in order to avoid making any judgment when we see these kinds of afflictions or problems that happen for our friends, or for anybody that we see in our lives. Okay, I think we are out of time, and I should go to an end. But maybe, inshallah, in the next week, I will talk about the grounds of the sin. What are the grounds that make us go towards the sin, and what are some solutions and cures that help us to avoid or to cure this disease or tendency towards sin, inshallah. And at the end of my discussion, I ask my brother and sister to say Ameen to a dua, and inshallah, for the cleanness of your soul, this dua will be fulfilled. And I ask, Ya Allah, please help all of us avoid all the sins in all our lives. Allahumma ameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin.